Good morning everyone, Garner Graham back here again for another in our series Gardens That Change the World. In the last 2 days we've thought about events in the Garden of Eden, creation, sin, judgment, but today we are thinking about events in another garden, this time the Garden of Gethsemane. We're thinking about the night before the death of Jesus. This was an olive orchard situated on the Mount of Olives near Jerusalem. Jesus had gone there with his disciples after the Last Supper. Jesus is full of overwhelming sadness. In Mark chapter 15, we read, Jesus began to be deeply distressed and troubled. So what causes Jesus such distress in the Garden of Gethsemane? Well, because of what his death involves. Jesus prays in verse 36, Abba, Father, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. In the Old Testament, the cup was a symbol of God's wrath, his anger. And Jesus knows that when he dies, he will face the cup of God's anger. Jesus was the new Adam who was perfectly obedient to God. But at the cross, Jesus takes our place. Jesus takes the punishment for our sin upon himself so we can be forgiven and friends with God. That is why Jesus is full of agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus is not thinking about the physical pain of death, terrible though that was. It is because Jesus knows the next day, there on the cross, he will face God's anger, God's judgment. Jesus knows that there is no other way in which you and I can be saved. Not through our goodness, not through our religious efforts, only through his death. Jesus is the obedient Son of God, willing to die for the salvation of you and me. Rebellion in a garden led to God's judgment on mankind. But now obedience in a garden, it changes the world. Because it ensures that God's judgment will fall on Jesus instead. It is a decisive moment in the history of the world. The Garden of Gethsemane, the olive orchard, is truly a garden that changed the world. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, thank you that Jesus willingly went to the cross for our sake, to take the penalty for our sin. Amen. Have a good Wednesday. See you tomorrow.